Give me a second. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm going to change channel to Cantonese/English for easier understanding for parents and students. So I'm Melody, and I'm a speech pathologist from HKU. I'm going to be talking about what CASPer exam covers and what skills we can use to take the exam. 好啦，咁我直接開始啦。咁我講一講啦，CASPer Vet Exam 咧係一個 situational judgment test 嚟嘅。咩意思咧？ What does that mean? It means it gives you a situation and you're supposed to judge it. Like 你要用唔同嘅方法啦，去判斷究竟有啲咩方法可以解決一個問題咁樣係啦。咁就包括啦 communication assessing soft skills 啦，即係一啲軟技巧啊，就係點樣同人交流啊 ，ways to communicate with people。ethics 啦，就係道德價值觀啦 ，empathy 就係同理心嗰部分啦，同埋 problem solving skills 啦，就係去解難嘅能力係啦。好咁因為So a lot of people know, I think a lot of parents or students would have heard of MMI. MMI is a multiple mini interviews. So it's an exam that a lot of medical schools use to choose their students from. So CASPer compared to MMI, they're actually very, very similar. 好接近嘅，即係兩個 exam. But the difference is CASPer is complete online and MMI is face-to-face. So when I was applying for medical school, I did the MMI, and I took the MMI in Singapore. And it's the content-wise, it's very, very similar to CASPer, as in MMI interview. 佢入邊考啲乜嘢咧？就係佢考 cultural competency 啦、empathy 啊、professionalism 啦、ethical grounding、critical thinking、interpersonal communication skills. It's all used to help universities select a certain group of people that they want to, those that can have good critical thinking, good problem solving skills. And 都係嗰句，佢係會俾一個 context 啲學生，然之後啲學生咧就會根據嗰個 context 啦，去俾出佢哋嘅答案，係啦，即係俾出佢哋最中立啦、最中肯嘅答案咁樣嘅。咁呢個就係 MMI 嘅內容啦。咁重點就係一啲 medical ethics 啦。So there's 4 pillars of medical ethics, no matter what kind of medical exam you're going to take or the students are going to take. It's always surrounding these 4 aspects. The first is autonomy. Autonomy means informed consent. So this part is quite important. If parents or students want to screen cap it, these are the points that students use to answer the questions that is going to come up in the CASPer exam. 係啦，咁pillars of medical ethics 啦，就係有 autonomy 啦。autonomy 嘅意思咧，即係我哋要尊重病人嘅佢哋想要嘅嗰個結果啊，即係我哋要尊重佢哋嘅。雖然我哋要俾自己專業意見啦，但係我哋都要尊重最後佢哋即係 patients 啊、clients 啊佢哋嘅要求嘅。咁 beneficence 係咩意思咧 ？Beneficence means we have to do whatever we can do to benefit the patient， 即係我哋要用盡我哋嘅方法啦，去幫助個 patient。咁 non-maleficence 咧就係我哋唔可以對病人有任何傷害嘅 ，we cannot do any harm onto the patient. So 任何佢哋俾嘅題目咧，如果佢有人去對病人有任何負面嘅影響咧，咁我哋都要解釋話，因為 non-maleficence 啦，所以我哋都唔會支持某一個決定咁樣嘅。咁跟住 justice 啦 ，it's related to the fair distribution of resources， 即係平均分配資源。即係譬如好似啦，得一個肝 ，there's only one liver left。What should you do? There's like a 2-year-old kid, there's a 10-year-old kid, there's a 40-year-old man。咁究竟應該俾個肝邊個咧？即係有啲咁嘅情景題，即係 example， 就係有啲咁嘅情景題 for 一啲 medical ethics 嘅。咁呢個就係 the pillars of medicine 啦。好，咁我講翻 CASPer 啦，因為啱啱講嗰個 MMI 啦 ，MMI 就係我即係俾個例子，佢究竟同 CASPer 有咩相似啊？唔同嘅地方咁解 ，like the difference, the similarities between CASPer and the MMI exam. So for CASPer, it's as I've mentioned, is a situational judgment test. So we, as the test takers or the students, are supposed, they're given a realistic hypothetical scenario. So they're given like a real life scenario where they have to judge what they would do in that scenario. And it's usually a dilemma. 即係佢多數都係一個 你當一個困境啦，即係一個需要揾一個解決方法嘅一個困境嚟嘅。咁係一個真實喺日常生活中有好大機會會見到嘅一個情景，咁就會喺 CASPer 嘅考試入邊咧會出翻呢一種題型出嚟嘅，係啦。一陣就會俾啲例子你哋睇啦，即係 I'm gonna give you some examples of what the CASPer exam is gonna like encapsulate 啦。係啦，咁個目標咧就係 to determine behavioral tendency， 睇下究竟咧你喺嗰個情況 or the test taker 喺嗰個情況咧會作出啲咩決定，或者點樣去 evaluate the holistic， 即係全面咁 evaluate 個 situation 啦，再俾一個完整嘅答案出嚟咁樣咯。係啦，咁 CASPer 嘅 exam 咧有5個唔同嘅部分會考嘅。There's 5 different sections that the CASPer exam is gonna require. The first part is the ethical decision making. So how would the test taker handle moral dilemmas? For example, conflict of interest, fairness and honesty. So the example question would be, oh, what would you do? The example questions I put here are just examples. It's not really gonna be asked or put in that sense in the final exam. But these are like examples for you guys to understand it like easily, like 佢究竟會考啲乜嘢咁樣咯。So what would you do if you saw a classmate cheating? 你見到個同學佢出貓喎，咁呢啲咁嘅ethical, moral 嘅 dilemma, are you going to expose that classmate? What should you do? What should you do to help? 咁你就要全面咁去諗咧，去俾你嘅答案出嚟啦。Second would be the professionalism and judgment. So how would a person, a vet, a doctor, a medical worker in general, how would we behave in a professional setting? So the example would be, oh, teamwork, collaboration, what kind of responsibilities are you gonna take? And the integrity, 究竟做人要唔要正直啦？ So one of the examples are, a coworker takes all the credit for your idea. How should we respond to that? 如果有人攞晒偷晒你所有諗到嘅 idea，一啲即係譬如好似寫 report 啊、寫 research 嘅結果啊 ，how should you respond in that situation？ 你究竟應唔應該 keep 住你嘅 professionalism？ 應該點樣去同嗰個人去 deal 啊、去傾啊，關於呢個咁嘅情景啦。So that's professionalism and judgment. And the third， 第三個咧就係 empathy and communication. So it would be how you interact with others. For example, different stakeholders, there's patients, there's colleagues, there's clients. So how the example question would be, if you were in this situation, this example, how would you or what would you do to comfort a distressed pet owner, a distressed colleague? What would you do in that scenario? And the fourth would be problem solving in difficult situations. 咁就係解難嘅能力啦，就係 to solve problems. So it assesses how we handle stress, how we handle conflict and different unexpected challenges. So yeah, so the example would be, oh, what happens if a client refuses treatment due to costs? How would you proceed? So let me give you like a real life example, because我咧就去過 vet 嘅醫院度做嘅之前，即係啲 internship 啦 ，I did like a vet 嘅 internship, and one of the patients bought in a poodle. So there's a toy poodle, and the toy poodle got its hand twisted into the elevator, it's like in the middle of the elevator, and the hand was half dissociated， 即係甩咗隻手，即係成隻手甩咗，夾咗入去個電梯度啦。咁跟住嗰陣時咧，個 client 就唔肯俾錢，因為你知即係入咗獸醫診所、獸醫醫院咧，基本上都即係3000蚊起跳，咁如果貴啲嘅話就10000零20000蚊咁樣噶啦嘛，係啦，真係好貴嘅 ，it's quite expensive。So what happened was that client 即係 the poodle her pet was half dissociated， 即係隻手都甩咗啦，已經一半甩咗啦。咁 the client refuses to amputate。refuses to 即係切咗隻手去啦，個 infected hand 啦。咁because of the high cost. So in that case, how should we proceed? What should we do? 我哋應該點做咧？ How do we handle stress? How do we handle these kind of conflicts? So this would be the problem-solving aspect. And then there would be teamwork and collaboration. So it assesses how we are able to work effectively with others in a high-pressure environment. 就究竟點樣可以同人哋有正常嘅一個交流啊？如果有人唔同意你嘅意見喎，咁你又應該點樣做咧？係啦。So that's like the summary of the CASPer exam content. 即係佢會咁樣考啦。These are different ways that they're gonna assess the students. All right, next. For CASPer exam, this would be the content that the exam is going to encapsulate. 所以呢部分咧，如果你哋有手機啊，可以 cap 低幅圖啦，自己記一記低會考啲乜嘢咁樣嘅，係啦。咁啊 CASPer 咧就係一個 online exam 嚟嘅，即係一個網上嘅考試嚟嘅，係啦，全部網上好方便嘅啫，即係去個考場啊，考完就可以噶啦。咁總共咧就會有12個情景題嘅 ，There's going to be 12 scenarios。總共考60至75分鐘 ，It's going to assess students for 60 to 75 minutes, and the 12 scenarios are divided into 8 and 4. So there's 4 video-based response. 咩叫 video-based response 咧？即係話你要睇片去答問題嘅。You have to watch a video in order to answer the questions. And there's 8 text-based response. That means you have to read like a short text and then you answer the questions. So how many questions are there in total? For each scenario, so there's 12 scenarios in total, 有12個場景啦，總共。Each scenario has 3 questions. There's going to be 3 open-ended question prompts. 記住啦，就係3個 open-ended 嘅 question prompts。咁每個學生咧，淨係得5分鐘時間去答嗰3條問題嘅啫。So you only have 5 minutes to answer 3 questions for 12 cycles. So in total, there are 36 questions that you have to answer. So 12 scenarios, 3 each. So it's 36 in total. 有36條問題要答嘅。Within the 60 to 75 minutes. So roughly, if you do the maths, you roughly have 36除返, you roughly have like a minute and so to answer like one question. So you have to type really fast. And also the response are all typed. And so one of the training directions that our students could go for would be training to type fast. 如果打字慢嗰啲同學咧，咁就要小心啦 because it's all typed. 即係 you have to train your typing speed. You have to think really quickly. For 睇完條題目啦，就要即刻打返個答案出嚟咁樣啦。咁就有12個情景啦，4個 video base 噶啦，8個係 text 噶啦。每一條係有3個問題，跟住每一個情景淨係得5分鐘時間答嘅啫，所以都幾 rush 幾緊張嘅考試嘅時候。好啦 ，alright, so the details of the text-based part. So there's 12 scenarios. So this constitutes the first 8 頭嗰8個 scenario 咧就係 text-based 嘅。So what to expect would be you're supposed to read a short prompt, a written prompt， 即係一個句短嘅故事、短嘅情節咁樣啦，大概1至2個 paragraph 嘅啫。係啦，咁啊 describing a realistic situation. So these scenarios often involve, as I've mentioned previously, involve ethical dilemmas, workplace conflicts, client interaction in veterinary settings, 係 especially for veterinary settings 嘅，係啦，即係同人嗌交有咩點算啊？點樣解決啊？啲 client 啲 interaction 啊，點樣可以幫佢 smooth out 啲 rough edges 啊？咁樣啦。咁the example scenario would be a long-time client brings in their elderly dog who is in severe pain due to untreatable cancer. The client cannot afford euthanasia or further diagnostic. They beg you to do something but refuse to consider financial assistance options. Okay, so in this case, what should you do? Oh, the client, it's a long-term client. Oh, and they brought their really, really old dog, untreatable cancer, can't afford anything else. They beg you to do something, but 佢又唔考慮揾經濟支援喎. So what should you do? And the follow-up 3 questions would probably be like, well, how would you respond to the client? In what ways would you respond? 咁你就即刻諗啦。So, if I got this question, like what direction should I think of? What are the stakeholders in this scenario? 即係有啲咩持份者咧，我要考慮嘅咧。And then the second would be what alternatives would you offer? 就係咁就呢一 part 就係考慮 problem solving 啦。This would be the problem solving aspect of the question. Third would be how would you manage your own emotions in this situation? 就係 because it's a conflict. It's normal to feel frustrated, and you have to mention that, oh, frustration, how would you resolve it on your own? What kind of ways have you adapted to yourself in order to deal with these situations? The text-based scenarios. 咁點樣 answer these questions step by step 咧？就係 first of all, give yourself a minute or so to read very, very carefully of the topic. 呢 part 都重要嘅，即係如果可以記到嘅話咧，就記一記，就係啲 skill set 啦，啲咩技巧可以用噶啦，係啦。咁就1分鐘睇題目，睇完題目之後咧，你就要即刻 identify 持份者啦。So let's say in that case, there's clients, pets, colleagues， 就係有呢3個唔同嘅持份者啦。And note the ethical tension, what the problem is. the problem would probably be cost versus welfare. So you have to mention cost and welfare into your answer. When you type your answers, you have to mention these two. And the second would be emotional distress. Okay, and then you only have 5 minutes in total. 3 questions. You use 1 minute to read the questions. So you have around 1 minute to answer each of the questions. So you have to type really, really, really fast. The skill is to type really, really fast and don't overthink too much. Okay, and so 1 minute per question, and the sequence of how you perceive the question would be empathy first. 一定要留意即係感情上啊，就係 acknowledge all the emotions that you witness in that scenario. The second would be problem solving. You have to offer solutions. Let's say, oh, I would discuss the low-cost options available for this client, etc. And professionalism, you have to uphold your ethics. Well, my priority is beneficence to the client, which is you wish the client the best outcome possible. So you would say, oh, my priority is relieving the dog's suffering, etc. And remember to type really concisely. 唔係考你作文，唔係考 grammar. There's no grammar, no vocabulary requirement in CASPer. They're assessing your your immediate thoughts and how you articulate your ideas out. So it's not about how good your English is for the CASPer exam. So regardless of how good your vocab, how good the grammar is, if you can't go straight to the point, it's going to waste a lot of time and you would end up with a really poor score. Okay, so type concisely, aim for 2 to 3 sentences per question. Don't overwrite, no essays. You can even write it in a point form. Okay, so moving on to the video-based scenario, I'll try to speed up a bit. You'll watch a 30 to 60-second silent video. So this is very interesting. They show you a silent video. So the video, there's no one talking,冇人講嘢嘅個video. So you probably see me, but I'm muted.冇聲音嘅. And you would see, oh, my facial expression, whether I'm angry, whether I'm like frowning, whether I'm sad. And it tests your nonverbal cues, situational awareness, and quick judgment. 就係睇你所謂我哋中文會講咧 in Cantonese there's a saying 眉頭眼額啦，即係睇你識唔識睇人哋嘅表情，睇人哋啲即係面部表情啊，你估下究竟嗰個人係諗緊啲乜嘢嘅。So let's say example scenario would be a video shows a veterinary technician rolling their eyes after a client asks repetitive questions about their cat's diet. 咁就 let's say oh。如果即係有人啦，有個 client 啦，不停咁問，哇，我隻貓咧點算啊？唔可以食咁多呢啲嘢嘅喎，blah blah 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 講咗好多嘢啦。咁跟住個 veterinary technician 咧就 in the video 佢就咁樣反咗白眼啦，即係 rolled their eyes for a bit. And you would have to really quickly identify, oh, what kind of action that is, whether it's suitable in that scenario. 咁跟住就有 3 follow-up questions 啦。The first one would be, oh, what is the issue? 有咩問題啦？ What's the issue? You have to identify the problem. Second would be, how would you address the technician's behavior? If you saw that and you are a veterinary medical worker yourself, what would you do? Third is, how would you reassure the client? How would you calm the client's emotions? 咁呢啲就係唔同啲技巧咧，要即刻睇到嘅。Okay, so for video-based scenarios, this is the skill that we can use to answer the questions. First, watch actively for 1 minute. 即係你睇啦，即係用1分鐘時間好認真咁睇啦。Note any body languages. For example, you can detect the eye rolling part, which is unprofessionalism. 即係唔專業啦個人。Identify the underlying problems. Probably the underlying problem would be the client's anxiety. 即係個 client 好焦慮，所以先會不停咁問關於佢隻貓嘅問題㗎嘛。咁所以就要即刻估到啦，即係大概推理到 inference 到啦。Oh, the problem would be, oh, the client is anxious about the cat, or it's poor teamwork. They don't communicate well. That's why it would cause this breakdown in communication. So, and then the second part would be, oh, you have to respond strategically for the 3 questions. Let's say observe. The technician appears to be dismissive of the client's behavior, which could erode trust. The action would be, oh, what would I do to problem solve the scenario? I'd privately remind the technician to stay patient with the client. 即係我會叫佢哋冷靜啲啦，唔好咁大反應啦。Empathy 就係好全面咁諗啦，就係oh, I'd also thank the client for their questions， 即係多謝佢問咁多問題，多謝佢咁關心隻動物啦 ，and provide very clear answers to the client. Okay. So the skill is balance, speed, and thoughtfulness. You have to type really fast, but you have to be very thoughtful and very holistic at the same time. 好，咁咧，因為時間關係啦，咁我都跳一跳啦，係啦。Okay, so these are the main points you have to consider. According to CASPer, spelling and grammar does not affect your score. 即係你啲 grammar 錯得好緊要，或者你啲 spelling 串字啊，成日都串錯嘅，都唔緊要嘅。It's not that important as long as you get the points out to the examiner. As long as they understood what you wrote. 係啦，咁當然啦，就 don't rely on this. 即係 better spelling, of course, it's better, right? Because 你不停咁串錯字嘅話 the client can't really, like the examiner can't really understand your arguments. 咁盡量 respond to every question you write, even if you're running out of time, because running out of time is one of the core problems that students face for a CASPer exam. 即係成日都唔夠時間寫字嘅，即係成日都唔夠時間打晒啲字，因為實在太問水啦。咁所以就算唔夠時間咧 you have to try your best to answer at least one sentence to each question. So you have to try your best to answer the questions, regardless of how much time you have left, okay? To save time, jot down the bullet points. You can use bullet points instead of full sentence because they're not checking your grammar and spelling. So you can use bullet points. And also important part is, as Ivan just mentioned before, the exam results, there's like a code for you to, there's a code and the code is sent to the university. So the results are all sent to the university and the students will not receive your score. 即係你唔會知道你嗰個 score 嘅，係啦。The score is automatically sent to the program. 係啦。Okay, so yeah, so unlike MCAT's the medical assessment test, you must retake CASPer each application cycle if you failed the first time. Okay, so this is very important. 係啦，咁ways to formulate a good response. 啱啱我都講咗㗎啦，就係 how do you answer like holistically 點樣去答好啲咧？就係一啦 personal, give your own personal example. Second, to be clear and concise, 唔好咁多累贅嘅嘢，即係 don't jibber jabber 寫好多其他嘢出嚟啦。Third would be connect to medicine. Make everything related to the concept of medicine or veterinary medicine. Fourth would be detailed. 盡量寫仔細少少，係啦，即係喺啲細節嘅位形容人嘅感受啊、情緒嗰部分咧，寫仔細少少。Fifth would be no open-ended statement without examples. 盡量寫個人例子，即係 give personal examples. Even if you don't have that much time, try your best to give like 1 or 2 examples. Okay, so all right, last but not least is this part. So these are the qualities that you can prepare before you take the actual exam. So things you say, if you search online, a lot of people say, oh, you don't need to prepare for CASPer. That is in the case that you're very, very smart and you're very quick-witted, then you don't really have to prepare. But if you're like, if you don't have or you don't trust your own like qualities, come as you prepare in advance, like the stories that you're going to mention, the examples that you're going to state, or the qualities that you must have as a good vet, okay? So you can memorize like some of these points that I put here. The first would be accountability, collaborator, whether you collaborate well with people, communicator, whether you communicate well with people, and empathy, ethical, like ethics, health advocate, leadership, learner. So you have to be an advocate of learning, right? And then medical expert, professionalism, scholar, and trustworthy, and a lot of points that I've mentioned just now,嗰啲 integrity 啊，嗰啲都要呢啲 quality 要背定先咯，即係 you have to memorize them in advance, so that you would be able to, and also prepare some stories in advance, like examples or stories in advance to help you write without thinking too much. Say when you see that question, oh, you automatically associate that question with the answer that you prepared. 係啦，咁係啦，就係咁就準備定啦，唔同嘅 quality 同唔同嘅 story to back them up 啦。呢個就俾咗啲例子啦，不過因為時間都唔好夠啦，咁所以我都 skip 啦，係啦，即係有啲 practice scenario 啦，就係oh you can prepare in advance, like how do you answer these questions, this text-based scenario 有啲咁嘅情景啦 and then there's like questions that you can prepare as well, okay? And 係啦，咁我諗呢個都可以跳一跳啦，咁 alright， 咁啊最後嘅 last but not least 呢部分啦，就係 how is the CASPer test scored? So it's kind of similar to IELTS, as in the score ranges from 1 to 9. 1 would be the lowest and 9 would be the highest. And there's going to be a few raters 即係俾分嘅人啦。The exam results would be given as quartiles. So it's the first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, or the fourth quartile. The first would be the 0 to 25%. Second would be the 25th to 50%. Third would be the 50 to 75%. And the fourth quartile would be the best quartile, which is the 75 to 100%. So you try aiming at the third and fourth quartile. So that gives you a safe spot for schools or universities to consider your results. So okay, so 最好啦就考到 fourth quartile 啦，就係最高個 quartile 就係75%至到100%嘅分數嘅。All right, so these are additional links. If parents can 即係學生啊或者家長啊有興趣想 screen cap 啊，即係自己準備定少少一啲呢啲即係 test guide 有啲咩 response 去答啊，咁一啲 additional link 可以俾你提供埋俾你哋咁解嘅啫，係啦。咁就我 sharing 嘅部分就咁多啦，好啦，多謝大家。
好，唔該晒 Melody 同我哋 share 翻 CASPer 嘅 test 啦，咁同埋多謝 Ivan 今日嘥咁多時間同我哋講翻 Adelaide 間大學啦，同埋個 program 個 entry requirement 啊，或者介紹翻個 program 係點樣嘅。咁亦都其實收到好多唔同嘅朋友，佢哋都喺度問緊一啲有關於個收生標準啊，或者甚至乎其實呢間大學係點樣㗎？喺澳洲邊度啊？咁呢啲我都會逐一再同大家喺 WhatsApp 嗰度 catch up 翻嘅。咁最主要想同大家 wrap up 翻個位置，就係講翻個收生要求。好多同學都問緊就係話 ，OK DSE 個收生要求，而家 Adelaide 大學佢就要緊Best 5 21分啦，咁 IELTS 就7分，咁其實佢係依家可以用 DSE 英文去代替嘅，咁詳情大家可以 WhatsApp 我問翻啦。咁有關於 CASPer 嗰個 test， 其實大家會問啊，到底要收幾多分啊？咁我相信唔係每一間大學都會將呢一個分數去公佈俾大家睇啦，因為其實都要睇翻到時嘅 admission pools 到底有幾多人申請或者有幾 competitive 啦，咁所以都唔可以好直接話俾你聽啊幾多分去 guarantee入到啊，因為其實有時會有啲學生係話啊嗰一年佢太過 competitive 喎，個分數 line curve 個分數比較高，咁所以有時唔可以話劃死邊一個分數先入到嘅，咁所以最好就一定要做足個 training，然之後去開始個 test 啦 online test，咁所以其實大家只需要睇翻佢哋嗰個 application 嘅時候嗰個時間表，邊個月份可以考，邊個時間啱自己嘅，同埋報邊幾間大學，報邊幾個 test 啦，咁大家可以 arrange 翻啦。咁同埋佢係有一個 questionnaire 會嗌大家填翻有冇啲 animal contact experience 啊，咁呢一個大家都要留意翻呢啲叫 application 嘅 hints 嘅位置啦。咁落到去啦，其實一般有好多學生都會問，唉，其實我讀完呢一科之後，我係咪可以翻香港做嘢啊？或者甚至乎我留喺嗰邊做嘢個情況會係點啊？咁其實如果大家係想留喺澳洲嘅話啦，可以考慮翻佢哋嘅呢一個 PSW，咁大家可以有一個5年嘅 visa 留喺嗰邊做嘢嘅。咁或者如果係想翻嚟香港嘅話，最重要嗰個位置就係話完成翻 Adelaide 大學嘅 program 啦，然之後去翻呢個香港嘅獸醫管理局申請做註冊就 OK，因為佢係會係一個 codable qualification 嚟嘅。咁所以唔需要額外考其他嘅 exam 啊，唔需要好似話醫生護士啊，甚至乎牙醫咁樣要走啲特別註冊，嘥其他時間去做其他嘅 practical 嘅嘢啦。咁所以基本上讀完之後翻嚟香港註冊就可以㗎啦。咁最後其實有啲朋友喺度問緊啦，可唔可以安排個 CASPer training？或者其實有啲可能學校有寫啲 admission statement 啊，咁會有指導。咁其實 for 翻我哋公司咧就會同大家做呢啲 preparation 啊、報名同埋揀大學嘅流程啦，甚至乎 visa 我哋都會幫大家去處理嘅。咁但係問到 CASPer training 嗰一 part 咧，大家留意翻就唔係話我哋可以今日嚟嘅家長全部都 cater 晒，因為最主要睇翻個學生嗰個底子或者佢申請嘅嗰個 entry point 係幾時啦。咁所以可能 individually 我會同大家 catch up 翻啦。另外可能會有 suitable 嘅學生真係想做個 training 嘅，咁可以同我傾一傾，然之後約翻 Melody 做翻個training 嘅 preparation 都可以嘅。咁大家會唔會有其他嘅問題喺呢一刻想問咗先？可以喺個 chat room 嗰度留一留言，或者甚至乎可以 WhatsApp 我都可以嘅。
Hi, Jay. I just want to double confirm for English, if they take IELTS test, have to be 7, straight 7.
Strict
So
7.
individual scores also 7. I think you have a typo 6.5. But
Yeah, sorry.
normally, yeah, that's right. Normally, DSE English level 4 and all component level 4 will meet the entry English requirement or IB English as well, as I also mentioned earlier.
Okay, so strict 7 for everyone. Any questions?
I think there's a question about the IB mathematics. So we do accept multiple different mathematics. I don't have that on top of my head, but AA and AI, I believe we do accept, but they have the different score requirement. So normally for IB, we accept high level with a minimum of 3, because that's the pass grade. And also for higher standard level, there's a level 4. So that's as a guide. But as an assessment, so of course you have to aim for IB of 33 or above to be able to accept it into veterinary science. So that means you need to aim to like 4 or 5 at least for each of the 6 subjects for IB.
如果大家有啲問題咧，可以直接 WhatsApp 翻我，因為其實我之前有同大家 WhatsApp 去聯絡過啦，同埋俾翻個 meeting link 大家嘅。咁所以有啲問題如果未可以詳盡去答翻大家咧，最重要個位置就係話記得 WhatsApp 翻我去問一問翻。Is we accept AP academic. Mean grade students should not think about IB. I think there are a lot of students would like to ask questions towards IB. So I think could you just recap the IB requirement, especially students wonders about whether standard level of math, standard level of biology, or whether you require higher level of biology, what are the grades, and I think better just give them a recap.
Yeah, so normally standard level biology will be fine, but as I said, for standard level subjects, better to aim for level 4 for IB scores. And for higher levels, normally level 3 will meet the prereqs requirement from IB. And for DSE, of course, biology or chemistry as elective will also meet the entry requirement. And most of the students will have core maths. So they don't need to do M1. No M2 because no need to take the deep, the harder mathematics for meeting the entry requirement.
I also got questions from WhatsApp saying, would that benefit me if I have IELTS already in my hand to apply for Adelaide University, or should I take the IELTS exam right after I receive the offer?
I mean, normally I would say, because what IELTS will be valid for 2 years anyway. So if the student aiming for 2026, I would say it's better to do an IELTS now, because the score will be valid for the next 24 months. So that will definitely meet 2026 entry requirement. But of course, everybody have different situations. So just find the best time to take the IELTS. Normally, we would issue conditional offer if, say, you achieve high in CASPer and also meeting all the experience requirement. Then it's possible that it will be made an offer conditional on meeting the English requirement. But I'm still saying, find a suitable time and then take the test.
Cool. And one more question I found is very interesting. There is someone asking, is there any schools open day, particularly for vet?
Okay, so we do every year have once in February about orientation for veterinary science student and animal science student. So I mean, normally general public not going to be invited, but if you happen to be in Adelaide in February, then there may be opportunity to participate that orientation. But each year in August, so normally the second Sunday of August, we always have the university-wide open day. So we will have all these opening scenarios for all our campuses. So if you find that may be relevant or useful, maybe you can take that in August. So that's the university open day time.
Great. Few more questions. I'll take 3 more. Do you accept IELTS 1 skill retake?
Yes. The answer is yes.
And I found this questions almost just comes up to all the applicants. Should job shadowing experience is not a must to apply
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
let's say,
So
Adelaide University?
yes. So of course, any shadowing, voluntary, or work experience is all necessary, but there's no specific minimum or maximum duration requirement for those experience. So as long as you can provide evidence, say for example, 2 hours per week for 3 weeks, or 10 hours overall, I think that will be sufficient. But as long as you can provide the evidence, sometimes if it's done by with an organization, then it's better to have the official, title of that organization and maybe a signature of the registrars as an evidence. So we'll take that as part of the assessment as well.
Okay, last questions. And I think this is very critical when it comes to Adelaide University to study vet, because you separate the program into two parts, which is first 3 years and the very first year, 3 years, sorry. So how many percentage of students entering the master program? I mean,
Yeah, our progression rate is very high. I don't have it in mind, but from the previous conversations with academics, close to 100% upgrade, but of course you will see one or two sometimes in one of the intakes may not necessarily progressing, but in general, 9 out of 10 or even 10 out of 10 will be able to progression to the next level of DVM. But you need to understand there's no specific GPA requirement. Say as long as you pass the first 3 years, and then completing of the 12 weeks animal husbandry assessment, then most likely you will be able to progress to the next stage. So the successful rate is quite high.
Glad to hear that.
Good.
Well, I think it's 9 o'clock out, and yeah, everyone should get a rest. And I'll catch up with everyone via WhatsApp. And any questions, please feel free to drop me a message, and I'll be answering immediately. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Jay and Chloe and Melody. Very comprehensive. Thank you so much.
Cheers. That's the end of the talk today. Thank you for participating. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.